Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
And on this Camp Report Show, Bob, we take you on safari. See those rhinoceros? No, are those rhinos or hippopotamuses? But whatever they
I
are.
thought they were elephants.
No, you thought they were elephants. So neither of us are going on Wild Kingdom. But we are going to Lion Country Safari. It's been around for over 50 years. And those rhinos, I think they're rhinos, they walk right up to your camper. You drive through in your camper. It's an amazing summer actually a year-round destination. We're going to take you there.
Good. I hope they don't decide to tip you over. They look big. They look big enough to give you a rather rough ride.
They certainly can.
Yeah, I've got a great interview this week with April Klein, who is the Vice President of Customer Support Services at Lippert Components, and she's going to talk to us about an exciting new Lippert RV Owners School, where RVers can go to learn all about Lippert Components.
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
So from the rhinos to the classroom, all right here on
the Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everyone. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the news section here on the Camp Report Show. My name is John DePietro. He's Bob Zagami. And Bob, we've got a couple follow-up stories here on the F-150 Lightning pickup truck. A couple weeks ago, you announced that, actually a couple months ago, you announced that they were going to start production on those much anticipated vehicles. They have.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is I cautioned, where are RVers going to stand in pecking order, because they had an order, advance order of several thousand units.
200,000. 200,000.
200,000. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Now the results are coming out, and the RVers aren't on that list. They're giving them to plumbers, electricians, and carpenters, fleet people. So you don't think that's going to be much of an issue, because you don't think RVers are going to flock to these?
No, I don't think it's an issue this year. People have been waiting a long time just for the gas trucks. You see these stories that people wait 6-7 months just to get a gas truck. They get a brand new fifth wheel sitting in their driveway, and they can't get the truck that they want to tow it. I do not think that RVers are going to be big takers on electric pickup trucks, both from a standpoint of the range and the towing capacity. So I don't think it's going to be a big issue for the first year, but it is something that society is getting ready for. That's all you read about is the electrification of our vehicles. And from an RV standpoint, the campgrounds are making significant investments in changing over their power pedestals to make sure that they have the capability there. So when the RVers are ready, and when the trucks are ready for the RVers, and the range improves a little bit and towing gets a little bit better, then we'll see it. But if I was an RVer, I probably wouldn't buy it right now.
Yeah. See, I know that campground owners are talking about, wait a minute, what happens if somebody comes in with an electric vehicle and wants to plug into the same power pedestal that they've got their travel trailer plugged into? How are they going to be able to, number one, handle the power needs? And number two, how much is it going to cost the campground owner? So it's certainly a topic worth watching, and we'll be watching it as it progresses right here.
Well, the other thing too is that as we see more electric vehicles get out there, the consumer is becoming well aware of the high cost of the replacement batteries. They're well aware that the materials to make these batteries are coming from foreign countries that we have no control over in the manufacturing of the process here. And just the other day, there were stories that some of the electric power pedestals are starting to catch fire when people have them in their garage, when they've connected them up in their garage. Mm-hmm. So if there's a increase in those types of stories, it could slow down the acceptance and wait until the technology catches up with the demand that people would like to see.
Well, stay with us, folks, and we will keep you up to date on that very important topic. Now, one other important topic that every camper deals with during the time that they're on vacation is, do I unhook my pickup truck from my travel trailer and use that as my vehicle? Do I keep it plugged in and rent a car? Or do I, to get around the area, to visit other attractions, or do I rely on public transportation? And one area of public transportation that is very popular in many, many resort destinations around the country are those trolleys, which are basically RVs with a different body on them. But effectively, what's happened is we just read the story that up in the great state of Maine, that there is a shortage of drivers for these trolleys. And one major company that serves a major travel destination in Maine is not even going to operate this summer. And that's going to put a lot more cars on the highway. Talk about what that implication is.
It was a shock to the tourist community up in the Wells, Ogunquit, York areas up in southern coastal Maine that depend on these trolleys to go up and down Route 1 to different restaurants, to different campgrounds, picking up people. They're a mainstay every year up there, and people look forward to it. And they just announced this week that they don't have drivers, so they're not going to operate. There is one exception that we have identified so far in Maine, the trolley that services the Old Orchard Beach, Scarborough area. That trolley is running. And I know that they run Bailey's Camping Resort up there runs their own trolley back and forth to the beach for their customers. They have their own, but the Old Orchard Beach trolleys are going to run. So it does beg the question is what happens because we know there's a shortage of people in every discipline, every business these days. So you have tourist attractions that are going to have a shortage of people in the restaurants, a shortage of people in the hotels. And now you're going to have a shortage of drivers that people aren't going to be able to get around, which means more cars are going to be on the road. The traffic's going to be more. And those cars are going to be paying more for their gas. So what is
they're going to use more?
When you look at it nationwide and you have tourist areas around national parks that have trolleys, it could be the start of something big that they do not need at the start of camping season. That's for sure.
And I think it's very important to note, Bob, for our viewers, that this is not a reduction in service. This is an elimination of service. So it's not like you have to wait an extra hour to take the trolley down to the beach, but you got to get there on your own. And, it was so cool. I know in my own family circumstance where the grandkids would go to the beach, they would each get their blankets and their inflatable toys and that type of thing, and go on down. And my wife and I loved it because we didn't get the car dirty, with beach sand. But, I'm sure the tourist places are going to, the non-beach, the places that are along the route are going to have an impact or be impacted by it. And you know what, folks, as viewers, let us know down below if you see a circumstance similar to this in another part of the country that we can highlight here on the
and we should note that our news stories every week come from our friends at RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine, who provide us with the stories and the links both to these stories and others during the week.
Right. And to make sure that you never miss out on a Camper Report show, down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little red button that says subscribe. So subscribe, share, like, do whatever you want, but let people know that you enjoy the Camper Report show.
Right. And stop what you're doing right now. Send it to 10 of your best friends and family.
Exactly. Exactly. What more could be better for you?
Right.
But we'll be back with 2 feature stories right after this, right here. Where, Bob?
On the Camper Report show.
I'm Jesse from Outsiders Calling, and I love adventurous family travel with my wife Jenny and our son Tucker.
For over 3 years, we've RV'd across the U.S. and Mexico, and it's tough to find places that meet all our needs.
Now we plan our trips with the RV Trip Wizard, pull it up in the RV Life app, select it, and go.
It helps us discover amazing new places to grow together as a family.
RV Trip Wizard with the RV Life app is an awesome trip planning combination.
You can get both for one low annual price. Check out rvlife.com to learn more.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Camper Report show. And my guest today is April Klein, Vice President of Customer Support Services at Lippert Components. April, it's really great to have you on the show. Haven't seen you for a while, but Lippert seems to be in the news every day with something new.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for having me.
So what I wanted to talk to you about today is the tremendous effort that Lippert has put into not just dealer training and consumer training, and we'll get into that, but why don't you give us an overview of the investments and the training programs that Lippert is bringing out to the dealers that results in better service for the customers. And then we'll talk about their one-day school, two-day school.
Sure, I'd be happy to. We kicked off, really formalized technical training back in 2013 and 14, and then fast forward to, and we were touching a couple thousand people a year on the dealership side every year. But then in 2018, we really wanted to get serious about having a dedicated space with hands-on mock-ups and things that were relevant to the dealers working on consumers' products, and dedicated 25,000 square feet in our Mishawaka building, specifically for dealer training. And, over that period of time, even through COVID, and then in COVID, we got a little bit more creative without being able to bring those guys in, and launched a webinar series. And just in the past couple of years, we've had 20,000 completions from the dealer side. So it's really important to us to make sure that we're doing our part to educate dealers on our product, everything's, things that are new. And then we kept hearing that, dealers kind of would make a choice whether they would come to our training or other supplier training. We also partner with RVTI so that when dealers do attend, their credits count towards their RVIA certification. And so we do bring in suppliers to our facility as kind of a common training ground so that it's easier for dealers to get training all in one place. It makes it more effective. If they're going to spend a week, out of their season to come to Elkhart County, we figured we might as well make the most of it and bring in everybody so that they had good access to them.
Yeah, the training programs are fantastic. And, we used to partner with Lippert and bring them into New England, but then the systems changed and people didn't want to, they didn't even want to go locally, but you restructured your entire program. So it's very difficult for a dealer to not get invested in what Lippert has offered them on these training programs.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a great point, because we go regionally. We do some regional blasts where we'll do some sessions in Texas or up in New England, as you know, out on the West Coast, anywhere that we're needed. We'll also schedule individual training at dealerships to hit, people who want to partner with us. We have a few dealer bodies that we work really closely with and give them some mock-ups and go down and train as needed. And then, this year we've really expanded what we can do in our facility there in Mishawaka. I think we have training sessions scheduled almost every single week. So, we understand that with so many new consumers in the industry, so many more units being pushed out every year, that we just really wanted to focus on training anybody and everybody who wanted to come. We feel like the more you know, the better. And so we'll just continue to keep elaborating any way we can.
Well, and one of the other things that has changed dramatically at Lippert, I'd say probably in the last 5 years, is your outreach directly to the consumer. You have your aftermarket program, so now we see the same Lippert products are available in dealers' parts and accessory stores. You've had other ways of reaching the consumers, and you recently just did a beta. I guess we call it a beta, but the first week of a very unique owner's experience. Tell us how it was conceived, and you're testing that first week and what we have to look forward to.
Yeah, that's a great point, Bob. So you're right. We've made a lot of headway on aftermarket products and getting more retail products and listening to consumers around what they want from aftermarket products. So the natural, evolution in that, as we get closer and closer to the consumer, we launched our CX team, who's headed up by Nicole Solt. And that team's done a great job. They're solely focused on the end consumer. So as they got closer and closer to end consumers, we just kept hearing they just wanted to be included in our tech training offerings. They want to know more about Lippert products. They want to help. They provide great feedback on products. So we said, hey, what the heck? Let's pilot a school. And so we selected a group of people to release that to, and filled that class pretty quickly. and the first one, you always learn a lot. So it's, one of the greatest things about our CX team is they have a pretty robust analysis group that goes through, they do surveys. So from that initial pilot test that we did a couple of weeks ago, we have, I think it's a 42-page slide deck on all of their feedback, things that they want to change in the future. So, we have some upcoming classes for the summer where we're going to fill with just specific for consumers. There's a couple single-day classes, a couple 3-day classes. And then, throughout that process, I think what we'll see in the coming, months and years is that we compartmentalize that more towards what consumers want to see. I mean, you have a very wide range of what, their skill set, their level of knowledge that they want to seek. And so some people may just want to know very basic things around operational issues. And then others want to get in there and fix things and tear things apart. And, we just feel like if people are well educated to do those things, why not? It just helps everybody. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the industry in terms of service capacity. So if we can help educate consumers and they don't have to take things to a dealership to get it fixed, and can help themselves and help each other, we just feel like that's a really worthy cause.
Well, I think it's very important today because as we've seen with social media, there's a lot of videos on YouTube and other social media platforms by well-meaning people, but not well-informed people on the product or the service or the type of thing that they think that they are delivering good experiences to the consumer, and they're wrong. So having a Lippert branded product, understanding that A, you made the product, B, you know how to teach them about the product, and the consumer experience is going to be much more beneficial.
Yeah, and just, think how powerful that is. You have, what's growing to be tens of thousands of people in the Lippert Scouts program that follow what we do and that know intimately how we operate as a company. And that's, with great thanks to the CX team. And the more people we can educate, and like you said, a lot of people mean well when they post things on social media, but maybe they don't know. And so the more experts we can get out there on the product, on the process, the resources that we have available to them, I just think the world's going to be a better place in the RV land.
You mentioned Lippert Scouts. Let's talk about that a little bit, how that came about and why that's also important for consumers, because you're at a one-to-one level with consumers on many different parts of your business today, Scouts being one of them.
Yeah, I think the way that came about, Lippert's been on a journey to improve the service experience for a long time. If you roll back to where we were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, it's just been constant progression in terms of getting more in touch with the people that we serve. And obviously you start with the core from the OEMs and the dealers. There's varying degrees of service available out there to consumers. And so the basic concept around the way we operate is that, hey, whoever calls us, we're going to pick up the phone. And the more we touch consumers, we were just finding that they were really seeking that hands-on face-to-face interaction. And so, and who better to get product information from than the consumers? We're in Elkhart County where we're, that's the core of where our RV operations are based. You have people building the RVs. You have a lot of suppliers in the area, but what you're missing in that whole product development process is on consumer feedback. And that was really centered, how that came to be was how do we just get more feedback from the consumers, whether it's product or how can we get better in serving you? Because they're the ones, let's face it, everything everybody in the industry does, it somehow, some way touches an end consumer. So unknowingly, even people kind of breeze by that, hey, what I'm doing here in my day-to-day job, that impacts an end consumer, just like your parents or your brothers and sisters, your family. And so we try to just really keep that approach. And that's where we think that's really valuable, is going straight to the source and the people that are using our products and figure out how we can be better.
Well, and I think the big benefit for the consumer is if you go back to that 6, 7, 8 year period that you're talking about, at that point in time, it was Lippert directly to the manufacturers. And some of the units that were coming out had 60 or 70% of the components of a trailer or a motorhome manufactured by at least one division of Lippert. But the customer didn't know that. And as you rebranded the company, or specifically you're rebranding going into the consumer end of it, look at all the things that you've done with the packaging, the training, the schools. So you have a direct one-on-one with the consumer. You're not bypassing dealers. You give our dealers more support than they could ever ask for. You're not bypassing the manufacturers, but you're taking part of that obligation off their shoulders, saying, hey, we made it, we're going to support it, and we're going to help the customer when they have a question.
Yeah, and hopefully that's helpful to the OEMs and the dealers, as opposed to, and that's all we want to do is help. And, as Lippert has grown and you're consolidating more and more products into that portfolio, it's just one less company to contact. And so that's really, we talk about from the service perspective, how we broaden our reach and how we become more consistent, rather than having to call 20 different companies, you can call one and hopefully get great service, better service than you would have gotten individually from those other companies. And so I think it's important that just consolidating resources and, continuing to do good things that are going to help consumers and dealers and our OEM partners be successful.
Just one last thing on the schools themselves. Is it too early to project out that there may be regional schools around the country? Consumers are going to want to stay someplace pretty close. Everybody's not going to run out to Elkhart for a day or two. So what's on your horizon relative to, say, regional schools?
Yeah, I think overall it makes sense. I mean, our appetite to expand our capacity and training is pretty large. So I think as you see some more of that happen regionally, there's no reason not to expect that we would open that up to consumers in the future. It may not be, this year or overnight, but it makes sense just in terms of utilization of space and people and impact. Not everybody always wants to come to Elkhart.
That's right. All right. I guess
certain times of the month, certain times of the year, right?
Beautiful downtown Elkhart. I like to go to Elkhart. So
it's a great place. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Our guest today has been April Klein, Vice President of Customer Support Services at Lippert Components. April, I know you're very busy. I want to thank you very much for taking time out for the Camper Report Show, and any last words for our fans?
No, I just, we appreciate everybody, and everybody's input is really important. So just keep it coming. It's a great, we appreciate the support, and we'll continue to change and evolve based upon what people tell us we need to do. So it's important to us, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
Hey everybody, it's John DePietro. We are at Lion Country Safari in Southern Florida. We're with Haley, and Haley is our guide, our spokesperson today. And Haley, when you see Lions Country Safari, you know that you are dealing with one of America's foremost, and what do you want to call it, pioneer or cool
we could definitely
attractions.
Say pioneer, unique. We were actually opened in 1967 and we're the first drive-through safari experience in the United States, kind of flipping that traditional zoological experience on its head where the animals are roaming free and guests are confined in their vehicles.
That's kind of the difference, huh?
Mm-hmm, it absolutely is.
Exactly. So, you can't ask for more convenience for RVers because you've got a KOA campground right over those trees right there. And I've been told that at night when you're camping, you can sometimes hear the roar of the lions.
That's absolutely true, John. So we do have our 230 site KOA campground on property here at Lion Country Safari. and in relatively close proximity to that lion habitat, where in the evenings and also often in the mornings for a nice wild wake-up call, you do have the lions roaring. And a lot of times we do have guests ask if that's a recording.
A recording.
It's 100% our actual lions.
Legit.
So it makes for a really unique experience.
Legit. So certainly lions are the, they're in the main name, but there are several other species that we're dealing with here, right?
That's correct. We do care for about 90 species here on safari. Anything from lions, zebras, rhinos, to our smaller species in our walk-through adventure park as well, including our parrots, flamingos, reptiles. We also do care for very large herds of animals. So under our care, you'll be able to see the largest herd of zebra on record in North America, roaming just outside your car windows, your RV windows, and also very large herds of giraffe and rhino as well.
Okay. Now you said RV windows.
Yes.
You can actually take your RV, be sitting in the back, have a driver, and taking all the photos you want, right?
Absolutely. You can absolutely drive your RV right through the safari park. And it's a great way to really get that experience as you're traveling across, whether you're traveling across America or traveling across Florida. Taking a quick stop here and enjoying the safari and the campground that we have to offer, you can drive right through in your RV.
So what are people likely to encounter on a normal day?
I have to say that every trip through the drive-through safari is unique, so the animals could be doing something completely different, and if you choose to go through more than once, every trip is unique as well. But usually, as you're at the campground, you'll experience those lions roaring in the morning for your wake-up call. And then you can head into the drive-through safari, where we have 7 different main habitats that cover 4 miles of the drive-through safari pathway. And you will see these large herds of animals roaming right outside your window in these beautiful naturalistic habitats. You might even get a really up-close encounter with an ostrich as well. They're very curious, which makes them one of the very fun interactive animals on safari.
So how long should people plan if they want to get the most out of their trip?
We usually recommend that guests plan for about 4 to 5 hours out of your day to do both portions of the park, which includes the safari as well as that walk-through adventure park.
Now, are there special features? Are there feeding animals or any of that type thing that that guests can partake in?
There are absolutely some wonderful encounters where guests can experience that really up-close and personal interaction with animals, including our giraffe feeding habitat, which is really, really popular and a fantastic opportunity for a selfie.
Is that only for small people? I mean, for tall people?
It's for everyone.
Okay.
Of all heights and all ages, and everyone loves it.
Okay, so tell us where we're located, Haley. And
so Lion Country Safari is located in West Palm Beach, Florida, in the western parts of West Palm Beach, also known as Loxahatchee. And our address is 2003 Lion Country Safari Road, West Palm Beach, Florida.
And people can check it out on the website, buy tickets in advance. Are there certain times of year when it's really busy that they should plan for different specific times of day to be here?
Lion Country Safari is open 365 days a year, so there are certain times of the year where it is a little bit busier. I would like to say that all times are great to visit. We do always recommend mornings as a perfect start time, since you can often see the animals first coming out of night areas or getting their breakfast in the morning. It's a little bit cooler, so they're extra active. Rainy days are also fantastic days to come out, and cooler weather as well.
Rainy days.
Absolutely.
Where
the
you
animals
can't be
tend
at
to
the
be more
beach
active.
or can't be at a golf course. Come on out.
Absolutely. There's plenty to do out here still in the rain.
So that's the story. We are at Lion Country Safari. We are in Loxahatchee, aka Western West Palm Beach. Stop by and see us, and hope to see you soon.